called me crazy and out of touch because I said that Gen Z doesn't know how to follow corporate norms. Funny enough, an article just came out where 6 in 10 employers said that they're firing Gen Z shortly after hiring them because they don't know how to show up on time, take initiative, dress appropriately, or speak appropriately. And they have the nerve to blame it on the professors and say that the professors are not setting Gen Z up for success. The professors are teaching us all of those soft skills. We choose whether we want to follow them or not. And Gen Z is choosing not to follow them. I always tell you guys, from 9 to 5, do what's asked of you. After 5 p.m., be yourself. It's that simple. At the end of the day, it's a job. It's not a social club. It's not a fashion show. It's just your place of employment, and that's it.
Gen Z is getting fired at alarming rates. I just read this article from Fortune that says that 6 in 10 employers have already fired Gen Z workers that they hired out of college. Not laid off, but fired within months of hiring them. And if you're early in your career, you need to hear why, because the reasons are completely fixable. Now, this article surveyed nearly 1,000 business leaders, and 3/4 of them said that they were unsatisfied with their Gen Z hires. Here are the 3 biggest reasons they're letting Gen Z workers go. Number 1 is a lack of initiative. 50% of bosses said that this was the problem. Gen Z workers are waiting to be told what to do instead of taking initiative themselves. They don't raise their hands, they don't volunteer for projects, they're just clocking in and clocking out. In a world where AI can do the bare minimum, doing that is a death sentence for your career. The second reason is poor communication skills. Managers say that Gen Z doesn't know how to talk professionally. They use language that's fine for texting friends and for TikTok, but is not appropriate for the workplace. They struggle in meetings, they can't hold a conversation at a networking event, they can't even write a proper email. As we spend more and more time behind screens and keyboards, this is becoming an increasingly important skill.
Remember when we were having a conversation about the Gen Z stare, and they thought that it was cute, and there was a bunch of people that would say, "Yeah, no, the Gen Z stare is that when we just don't want to talk, or you know, we don't understand what you're communicating, or we think something and we just don't want to say anything, and so we give you the Gen Z stare." And they thought that all of that was cute. And I've had a lot of conversations with people online, younger people, older people, where they think that their method of communication, DMing, and they're different in person than they are online and all of that stuff. All of that bleeds into your regular life because the things that you do the most, even if you don't notice it, is ultimately who you are. So if you are not an effective communicator, if you don't take initiative, if you're a lazy person, you don't turn it on once you go to work, all of those things are noticeable when you get into the job. So you have to be you 100% of the time. And hopefully that's the good you, right? You're killing off the things that's bad about you, all of the inability to communicate, all of the soft skill problems, all of the issues and trouble. You kill that off so that you can ultimately grow into being a effective leader. Now, some people are going to say, "Oh, I just want to do my job and go home." And that's why you're getting fired. Because it's not just about doing your job, it's being a representation of the company, and you're trading in your time for resources. And if you are not effectively using that time, or you're not giving them the value for their money, well, then they have the right to fire you, right? And it's some older people too. It's just that you're able to filter those people out, and so they know where they stand in the hierarchy, and they say, "Well, I'm not able to grow in corporate America." Well, we haven't seen your work performance. We haven't seen your communication skills. We haven't seen your volunteering. When I was in corporate America, I did everything, literally. Like I would be a person that would even volunteer first. I would shoot, and I didn't necessarily want to at all. Like I wanted to win. That's the goal. My goal was to make as much money as possible and get the most out of the situation. And I certainly did that. And so, I would do all of the volunteering. I would speak at every meeting. I would even when the company meetings, the get-togethers or the town halls and stuff, I would be that person, right? I would be the person that would be introducing and doing all of the speaking at town halls and stuff like that. And it was only because I showed initiative. I did my work. A lot of times I would do my work towards the end of the day or the beginning of the day when I first wake up. So I knew what was necessary. And then while I was at the job, I was really being visible, being social, making sure I attended every meeting. A lot of these Gen Zers, a lot of these young people, they only want to work from home. They don't want to go into the office, and that's going to be a problem with your career. If it's the difference between you making a substantially larger amount of money in your lifetime versus not, what would you do? And whatever answer that you give is valid. Just know that that's going to be what affects you going forward in the future.
3 is kind of surprising. It's unprofessional behavior. It's showing up late to work, showing up late to meetings, missing deadlines, not dressing appropriately. These sound like small things, but in reality, they're not because they do add up. They show that you don't take the job seriously, and when budgets get tight, you're the first to go. But the good news is that none of this is talent. It's not about intelligence. It's not about your skills. It is simply about your habits. And habits can be changed really quickly. These companies that don't want to hire Gen Z, they're not saying you're not smart enough. They're just saying you're not showing up like you want the job. If you'd like me to make another video about how to build a career as a Gen Z, comment below and I'll follow up.
I'm not surprised that the kids are getting fired allegedly at alarming rates because it's twofold. One, I blame the Ponderosa.
People use words like when people say respectfully or they say allegedly, any of the leads, people use it so out of context. You don't have to say allegedly about Gen Zers getting fired in the survey from an article that we read. You do not have to say allegedly for every single thing. And saying allegedly does not remove your liability in a lot of instances the way that people think that it does. But we'll get back to that later.
And the lack of preparation that they had, and also this weird, seemingly confusing lack of work ethic, and also the fact that like older people have some older people have this idea, well, I had to deal with it, so you have to deal with it. Like you have to earn like a healthy work life balance in like environment, which is weird as fuck. Cause like first of all, the Ponderosa like took away the chance that I think a lot of these kids had in like high school and college to just pick up basic life skills and like work skills, where it's like I used to show up to like first period late all the time, but when you're going freshman year to college and your mom's not waking you up and you have to like have that 7 a.m. class because you got a shitty luck of the draw scheduling rise, you can't be 15 minutes late because they'll mark you absent. You know, they don't care. You get 3 of them things and you get kicked out of class. But if you're remote and you got that shitty draw and you have 7 a.m. class, you just gotta roll out of bed. Like internships, like I'm never gonna tell you to be a corporate drone because it was never me, but the being in person for your internships kind of help you figure out, is this even an environment that I like? Is this the type of environment that I want to be in? Like how people dress, how people talk, like how relate, like just how to move, because you have to learn how to move in different environments, right? And like office politics and all that kind of bullshit, right? But if you did all that remotely, you miss that. You only come in once a week, you miss that. Which is how I think you get these kids like dressing wildly inappropriate and all kinds of like don't like talking to you, like forget like your coworkers are not your friends, your boss is not your professor kind of thing. And then on the other half, I think, and I see this sometimes in where I work, where it's like, oh, I have to put up with this bullshit, so I'm gonna make sure you have to put up with this bullshit. Like all this staying late, making people feel like they have to do like go above and beyond and do shit that is not their job because you have to put up with bullshit and stay late and do shit that's not your job, like denying PTO, giving people a hard time, like trying to like you sending people emails at 7:30 in the morning when you don't start work until 10 and it's not a fucking emergency, and then catching an attitude.
You don't start working till 10.
They don't reply, or you know, people on PTO, you sending them emails, they're not replying, like you in the office at 8 p.m. for what? Is it an efficiency issue? Like why are you still there? Are you understaffed? Like there's if work over at 6, why are you there till 8 p.m. every day? Just because you have to put up with this toxic bullshit in this like terrible environment, like does not mean that you want to make other people have to put up with that shit. But then at the same time, like I've encountered like young
Like this sounds personal. This doesn't sound like it's referenced in the article, but just my humble opinion.
people who act like you telling them to do their job that they get paid to do efficiently, well, and on time is somehow creating a toxic work environment, which is like, how is you cool? Because like
Listen. If you want to win at life, and this is not even just the corporate Americas. This isn't anything in business. As a content creator, right? I am incredibly efficient. I work on a schedule. I put in the extra time and the effort. And some people would say, well, that's because it's yours. No, that's because that's me. Like, I am a person that learned very early that I would be great as a business leader because that's who I was in everything that I did. It did not matter what I did, right? It didn't matter what the task was. It's not just in sports. That's who I am. If in church, if you know what I'm saying, if I decided to volunteer with something, I was going to be the best at it. Anything that I did, I wanted to be the best at it, and I wanted to be incredibly. It's not even necessarily about being the best at it. It's about I wanted to get the most out of whatever it was that I was a part of. I didn't just want to half step it. You know what I'm saying? In a relationship, it's the same thing. Like, if I'm going to be in it, I want to get the most from it. So what is it that we have to do in order to make sure that we get the best things? Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T-Chanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love y'all. Appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.